Texas has a special shortened probate process called Muniment of Title. What is it? Well, it's specifically an expedited probate process that's available in very specific circumstances, and it's really only available in Texas. Other states might have similar processes, but it's called a Muniment of Title in Texas. And what it says is that you can effectively take your will and title property to the beneficiary of that will just with the will itself, without having to go through the full probate process. There still is a process involved, but it's a lot shorter, cheaper, and easier to get through than a typical traditional probate process. But it can't be used in every situation. Here are some of the conditions that you'd have to meet. For one, there has to be a valid will in place. So that is kind of our guiding light here. So if there's no will, you can't do muniment of title. And for a muniment of title, there can't be a need to administer the estate and actually take it through probate. So if someone is contesting things, or if there's any sort of dispute over the assets, or if the person holding the assets, for example, a bank or a financial institution, needs to see some proof, they're typically going to require a full probate for that rather than just a muniment of title. Again, there can't be a reason that an estate administration would be necessary. And finally, the process is limited to Texas. It can't be used for other states or property that's outside of the state of Texas. But it tends to be the situation where the only asset involved is someone's house, and we're just trying to get that passed on to the correct heirs under the will. And it tends to be a lot quicker than going through a full probate, partly because there's no administration of the estate. It's just taking the application to the court, telling them what's going on, show them the will, say that there are no debts in the estate. Obviously, we have to verify that. And once that is done, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to it. It still can take some time, but it will be generally way quicker than going through a full probate that might take many months, even over a year in cases where there are lots of heirs or people contesting the probate. That's not going to be the case here with a muniment of title. And most counties in the state offer a checklist to make sure that the application for muniment of title has what it needs in it to actually get this going quickly, since there are a number of things that need to be proved, mainly that there are no debts, we have the will, that we have all the details and conditions laid out for the court so they can quickly look through it and make sure that the situation actually calls for a muniment of title and we're eligible for it. But after a hearing with the court, as long as all goes well, that's pretty much it. The court will authorize the use of the will to actually transfer the interest, typically in the real property. So if you have a piece of real estate, you can literally take the will and record that with the county, with the court authorization, of course, to then transfer that property. So the will almost works like a deed in this case. And then we're pretty much done. There's really not a whole lot to it. The big catch is the muniment of title process can only be used in a very specific set of circumstances, and it can't be used as a replacement for every single probate action. If you're unsure on whether muniment of title is something that would be appropriate for your situation, definitely reach out and we'd be happy to talk it over. But above all, just make sure you get some professional help with this sort of thing. With probate in particular, it can get pretty complicated. It's easy to make a mistake, and it's easy to think that one thing might be appropriate when in fact another process might be a lot better or cheaper. So it's just about always worth getting a professional opinion there. Whatever the case, muniment of title is a very useful tool in Texas for people to expedite the probate process and get the assets in the estate to the people that they're supposed to get to in a much quicker way than if we went through an entire, more traditional probate process. If you found this video helpful, then definitely subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.